All of us coaster enthusiasts must have a favorite roller coaster manufacturer in the industry. And I won't actually tell you mine right now because that might be a great video idea, but all of these awesome roller coaster manufacturers had to start somewhere. So in this video we're going to be ranking the best first coasters from each manufacturer. And for this list I could only collect 12 roller coasters because the other ones were quite bad. So now let's start this video. And now coming in at spot number 12 we got Texas Tornado by Hopkins. And this overall is a very weird looking roller coaster. And Texas Tornado actually opened in 1985 at Wonderland Park in Texas. And if you take a look at these two vertical loops on this roller coaster, you can see something is really wrong. And Texas Tornado actually only stands 80 feet tall. It has a length of 2050 feet and it has 2 total inversions. And to be honest, that's pretty much what the layout gives you. But speaking of ride experience, this roller coaster isn't even that bad. Texas Tornado features a very lackluster first drop, then it has a very weird jolt and twist before going into these 2 vertical loops. And after going through 2 decently forceful vertical loops on this very weird roller coaster, the rest of the ride is pretty much history. And the 2 vertical loops on this coaster was actually reprofiled while testing, so that really explains why they look so ugly. And now coming in at spot number 11 we got Kingdom Coaster made by CCI. And well, would you look at this crazy color on this coaster. Kingdom Coaster overall just looks like a smaller version of Blue Streak from Cedar Point, of course. And this was actually Custom Coasters International's first roller coaster located at Dutch Wonderland. This roller coaster opened back in 1992 and it still operates to this day. And overall this is a very small wooden roller coaster. The height is a total of 55 feet, you got a top speed of 40 miles per hour and the maximum length of this ride is 2000 feet. And in terms of ride experience, this roller coaster doesn't really have the most intense layout, but I get it, it's a family roller coaster. And in terms of ride layout, Kingdom Coaster mainly just features a few drops and turns. But if you sit in the back row, you can actually feel a bit of float on some of these small drops. And there are actually also some decently sharp turns on this small wooden coaster. And of course this coaster has a bit of rattle and roughness, but it isn't really much. And now coming in at spot number 10 we got Runaway Mountain by Premier Rides. And it's very interesting to see that Premier Rides' first roller coaster was actually an indoor roller coaster. And this medium-sized indoor roller coaster has actually been operating since 1996. And in terms of overall ride layout, you can actually see that Premier Ride had copied Zamperla for some of their coasters. And given that it's an indoor roller coaster, it is very weird to see that the main facade and theming is just way better than the roller coaster experience itself. And to be honest, Runaway Mountain just looks like an indoor carnival ride they've placed there. And overall there isn't really no point for it being indoors because there's no theming. And in terms of overall ride experience, this roller coaster is just decent because you have some sharp twists and turns, and that's pretty much it because the drops are pretty shallow on this coaster. The height of the coaster is only 55 feet and the total length is only 1500 feet. And now coming in at spot number 9 we got Iron Wolf made by B&M. Iron Wolf was actually a smaller scale stand-up roller coaster made by B&M back in 1990. This small scale looping roller coaster was actually located at Six Flags Great America, but in 2012 it was relocated to Six Flags America as Firebird. And this was actually where the stand-up roller coaster train was replaced by the Flawless Coaster train. And Iron Wolf actually stood 100 feet tall, it had a speed of 55 miles per hour and a total of 2 inversions. And let's just say over the years this roller coaster began to be way more rough, and the stand-up roller coaster trains on this ride didn't really help the ride experience. And even though the coaster was quite rough and rattly during the last ride years, Iron Wolf actually offered a decent looping coaster layout by B&M. The vertical loop was decent and floaty and the corkscrew was actually very whippy. And the rest of the layout was just filled with small dips, twists and turns, and that was pretty much okay. And now coming in at spot number 8 we got Wildcat made by GCI. Back in 1996 Hershey Park actually gave GCI their chance to make the first wooden roller coaster. And before going in depth with the layout, let's just say this roller coaster really wasn't the greatest wooden coaster, but it wasn't the worst either. And the overall ride layout on Wildcat was quite different compared to the newer GCI coasters. Wildcat mainly focused on big elements such as large twists and turns and drops. For now all the other GCI coasters mainly stays low to the ground with fast whippy elements. And given that Wildcat was GCI's first coaster, this is actually a big one. This woody actually stood 106 feet tall, it reached a maximum speed of 50 miles per hour and the total length of the track was 3183 feet. Wildcat actually had some impressive stats, but over the years this coaster has really gone rough, and that really led to an awesome RMC conversion. And now coming in at spot number 7 we got Wolverine Wildcat made by the Din Corporation. And this time we have yet another decently sized wooden roller coaster located at Michigan's Adventure. And this wooden coaster actually has been operating since 1988, and Wolverine Wildcat has a maximum height of 85 feet a maximum speed of 55 miles per hour, and a length of 3,000 feet. And even though many people say this coaster is quite rattly and also unpleasant to ride, it still offers a great ride layout. And on top of that, this Woody still has an awesome location located by the lake. First of all, the coaster starts out with these large drops and slow paced turns. But right in between these moments, this coaster actually mainly stays low to the ground, and it features many airtime moments. And these small low to the ground moments are actually awesome because the pacing is just great right here. And Michigan's Adventure has actually retracked a bit of this ride experience, so that's awesome. And now coming in at spot number 6, we got Geng Sa made by Gerstlauer. And given that this is Gerstlauer's first roller coaster, this is really impressive. And a Leibniz Park Tripsdrill actually gave Gerstlauer their first chance for a proper roller coaster. And let's just say since 1998, this awesome bobsled coaster has just been operating since. And apart from the Eurofighter, the bobsled coaster might be the most successful for Gerstlauer. And Geng Sa features these very sharp and iconic turns at the start of this coaster layout. And after that, the main ride layout just mainly consists of sharp twists and turns and helixes, and they are just so awesome. But Geng Sa actually has an awesome ending with several airtime hills. And these airtime hills are actually sharply profiled, so you can actually feel a bit of airtime on these. And given the lengthy layout and the beautiful location of this roller coaster, this really is a great start for Gerstlauer. So let's move on to the next one, please. And now coming in at spot number 5, we got Hypersonic XLC made by SNS. And before creating a proper roller coaster, SNS has actually created many flat rides and drop towers. And this is where they really thought it could be an awesome idea taking their air press launch on the space boosters and put it over on a roller coaster. And let's just say it was an awesome idea because they created Hypersonic XLC. And let's just say King's Dominion was very proud to have this very ambitious coaster located here. Hypersonic XLC actually stood 165 feet tall and reached a maximum speed of 80 miles per hour, but they reached this 80 miles per hour in a blistering speed of 1.8 seconds. That's just how impressive this air launch was in terms of acceleration. But unfortunately, this air launch roller coaster had many problems, so the ride was modified to increase the reliability. But unfortunately, after 7 seasons of operating, this roller coaster was suddenly closed forever. And the reasons for that was mainly lack of reliability and on top of that high maintenance costs. And now coming in at spot number 4, we got Wild Thing made by Morgan. Wild Thing is overall a steel hyper roller coaster located at Valley Fair. And since the opening back in 1996, this Morgan hypercoaster has just been crushing the riders with floater airtime. And even though these Morgan hypercoasters aren't really the best hyper roller coaster models in the world, they still really have a very ambitious first start here. And Wild Thing actually stands 207 feet tall. It has a maximum speed of 74 miles per hour, and the total length of the ride is actually 5,460 feet. And that really are some impressive stats for a very smooth hyper roller coaster. And in terms of ride layout, Wild Thing just overall offers a decent ride experience. Wild Thing overall offers many floater airtime hills that offers a bit of floater airtime. And the coaster also offers a very large and bizarre high-speed turnaround section. And now coming in at spot number 3, we got Matterhorn Bobsleds made by Aerodynamics. Back in the late 1950s, Disneyland actually called Aerodynamics because they wanted to make a very ambitious dual-track roller coaster. And these 2 tracks were going to run through a man-made mountain. And this is where Aerodynamics, the so-called pioneers in the roller coaster industry, actually created the first steel tubular tracked rides. And Matterhorn Bobsleds overall features 2 tracks, the Tomorrowland track and the Fantasyland track. And these 2 roller coasters just offers a very immersive and awesome ride layout with many high-speed twists and turns. This lengthy and very immersive ride experience really finishes off with a splashdown section. And even though many people think this roller coaster is very rough and unpleasant to ride, I still think the jankiness of this roller coaster still adds to the intensity of the ride experience. And now coming in at spot number 2, we got Hades by the Gravity Group. And the Gravity Group had actually helped Mount Olympus, the theme park, to create other wooden roller coasters, but they weren't the main manufacturer of the rides. But then Mount Olympus actually gave Gravity Group their chance to shine. And this is where they back in 2005 created Hades, but now we know this coaster as Hades 360. And this awesome and very ambitious hybrid roller coaster was actually later refurbished, and then they also added an inversion to the roller coaster. This awesome and very intense wooden roller coaster actually had a height of 136 feet, a maximum speed of 60 miles per hour, and an impressive length of 4,746 feet. And Hades was really known for dipping under the parking lot of this theme park and flying down the tunnels. And now coming in at spot number 1, we got New Texas Giant made by RMC. And RMC had actually helped Intamin create their prefabricated wooden roller coasters, but now back in 2011 this was their time to shine. And this is where the manufacturer actually reimagined an old wooden roller coaster called Texas Giant. And this is where RMC modified the layout, creating steel track and then still had wooden supports on it. And this was an awesome way to create a brand new ride experience without completely getting rid of the old wooden roller coaster. And this hybrid coaster overall features a very lengthy and airtime filled layout. Utexa's giant was actually 153 feet tall, it had a length of 4,200 feet, and on top of that a maximum speed of 65 miles per hour. And this coaster was overall just a huge success. And to this day, RMC is really known for creating reimagined experiences of old wooden coasters. They are also known for creating some of the best roller coasters in the whole world. And now we finally reached the end of this video. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Have I missed some roller coasters? Please let me know in the comments, and please give it a like, subscription, or something else that would really help the channel out. And to the end of the day, I'm always gonna say bye bye.